Welcome to Can I Park Here? Brought to you by FindAFashionTruck.com. Nashay and Estrell's mission is to inspire future and existing small business owners. They don't claim to be experts. They're simply trying to figure this all out, just like you.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Can I Park Here podcast, found on StartAFashionTruck.com. My name is Nashay, and I'm here with
Estrell.
Hello, folks. I don't know where you are in the world, but for us, it's cold now, which I love. Fall is here. Yes.
I'm just waiting on the taffy apples.
Ooh.
It's like my cocaine.
Wow, that's deep. That's
It's deep.
Serious.
It's real deep.
That is super deep. Oh, God.
I need taffy apples like all the time.
You know, it's interesting. So for those of you guys out there, I'm starting this like 30-day smoothie challenge, and Estrella is doing it with me.
Sure you are.
And I look forward to it. It's going to be hard, but one thing.
Okay, first of all, it's one smoothie a day, woman.
But I have to prep it. I got to prep the materials. I've got to there's like a lot of work going into it. And you're talking to somebody who doesn't like being in the kitchen, doesn't like cutting food, doesn't like cooking, doesn't like baking. I need a chef.
For a smoothie. You know what? I'm not doing this with you because it will be a waste of my time.
I need
no, ma'am.
But let me tell you. Okay, listen. The reason I'm bringing this up, which has nothing to do with this episode, but is just to remind all of you guys that you need to take care of yourself. I think sometimes as business owners, we forget that and we start eating bad, eating out, not sleeping, and doing things to, really do damage to our body, in particular to our brain. So this is just like my PSA to remind you to take care of yourself. That's all.
Ooh, I can put the taffy apple in the blender and make a smoothie, a taffy apple smoothie.
Are you going to put spinach or kale in it too?
I could, but that would defeat the purpose.
Wow.
Because if I could just drink it, it's like the more the merrier. Like I can drink more apples.
Wow. But there are apples with caramel in it too. So you need something green in it. Because basically, folks, what we're doing is the simple green smoothie challenge. So, you're supposed to have some kind of veggies in it. I'm just saying. Okay. I need you to step it up.
I'll just eat the apples. No smoothies.
Terrible.
Anywho, our lovely guest for this episode is Tameka Marsh. She is the owner of Dress Like a Girl Mobile Boutique in Charlotte, North Carolina. And she has a beautiful, beautiful truck too. It's one of my favorite colors, yellow. And she sells women's clothing. Now, one awesome thing she's going to tell in her story is how she found her truck and how much she paid for it, which is amazeballs. Here we go.
Hello, everybody. We're excited to have Tameka on from Dress Like a Girl. Thank you for coming on to the Can I Park Here podcast.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yes. So we always start the episode off by just asking our guests, what were you doing before the mobile boutique? And then what made you decide to get into the fashion truck business?
Well, before the mobile boutique, I actually sold accessories, pop-up events, mainly jewelry and scarves, using a tent and tables and things like that at indoor and outdoor events. And that was done part-time, and my full-time job was in education. Oh, so, that's how I got started.
So what was the magic moment when you decided that you wanted to do the fashion truck?
Well, it's fun. It's a funny story, but it's just an awesome story. So, like I said, I worked in education and I still do full time. And back when the economy crisis hit back in 08, 09, educators actually started losing their jobs, just like people in the private sector. And so that kind of shook me because I'm thinking no one ever thought that teachers would get laid off, you know? So I said, you know, I might need to find a second stream of income. So I talked to my husband about it, and we were just trying to talk about what I could do, what I could sell to have that second stream or a backup plan. And so I don't know how we came up with it. So we came up with me selling scarves. So scarves became my main form of business at that point. And from there, I was at an event in Virginia, in Richmond, and I met a girl who told me that she sells her accessories from a truck. And I had never heard of the idea before. And so I was like, from a truck? And she told me the name of her business and all this other stuff. So I went home and started researching, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. But I sat on it because, like I said, at that time, I was just selling accessories. It wasn't a big business or anything. So I talked to my husband about it, and he was like, oh, okay. And we started talking, and I eventually settled that I did want a mobile boutique. And so, of course, from there, we decided if I would have a trailer or a truck. And I started researching all of those, asking a couple people about the pros and cons of each. And back then, of course, I didn't know about Can I Park Here, the podcast, nor did I know about Let's Find a Fashion Truck, the Facebook group. So I was just kind of seemingly out on my own trying to research things. And so we settled on getting a truck. And from there, of course, I'm like, okay, where am I going to find a truck? So it just so happened, and I don't know why I asked my husband this. I said, do you know of anyone who has a truck? And he said, yeah, I do. And I'm like, really? So his coworker actually had a truck sitting in his yard. He bought it for his grandson, who was supposed to do a mobile business, but it never came to fruition. So it was just sitting in the yard.
Wow. Random.
Yeah. When I say we got that truck for a great deal, and I don't know if y'all are going to ask me about it later, but we got it for a fabulous deal, fabulous timing, because when we went to pay for the truck, it just so happened we were refinancing our mortgage, and that was the month that we did not have to pay a mortgage payment.
Ooh.
So when I say amazing, and things worked out. So the money we would normally put on the mortgage, we used to pay for the truck. And I'll just say that paid for the whole truck. So,
wow.
Yeah, so things really worked out. And from there, my husband and my dad, they did the inside of the truck. We got it wrapped. And I say this like it wasn't a quick process by far. We paid for the truck in January, and it wasn't ready until the following April. So it took over a year for us to get it ready, working weekends and evenings, but we got it done, and that's how it came to be.
And so what would that have been, like 2010 or 2009?
That was actually later. It was April 2015 is when I did my first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So when I say I sat on it for a while. So, I mean, a while. So we bought the truck January 2014.
Okay.
I believe. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so with the truck and getting it wrapped and everything, did you have a hard time finding somebody to wrap it? And like, what was the expense like with that?
Well, I recall passing a graphics place on my way to one of my favorite restaurants. And so I checked them out, and they gave me a quote. And honestly, that's the only place I went for a quote or an estimate. So I went with them. So it was about $4,000 to get it wrapped. But yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about normal.
Yeah.
And, you know, we like in the Facebook group, we try to tell people to make sure that you get at least, 2 to 3 quotes, just so you have some kind of comparison. But if like your first quote is like awesome, then, hey, go with that one.
Yeah, but and it was a good quote, but I still wish I had shopped around a little bit more. And I also wish that I had sought out their work a little bit more, like getting referrals and seeing what their previous customers thought. And it's a small business that I worked with in getting my wrap done. And he did say that my truck was the biggest project he'd ever done. And so, honestly, I'm not totally pleased with the work, but that's why I say, make sure whatever company you're going to work with, make sure you actually see work that they've done and talk to customers who they've worked with in the past.
Now, do you mind actually sharing the cost of the truck?
Oh, not at all. We paid $1,000 for my truck.
How?
Yes. And he only had to put about $700-800 into it to get it to pass inspection.
Oh, girl, you had good luck from the beginning.
Yes, so it was a definite blessing. I don't complain about anything. And like I said, it's just like everything just fell into place. So I know, it took a long time for me to get to the point of saying, okay, let's do the truck. But I think everything happened in great timing. So yeah, it was great.
Now, how about, so for the inside of the truck too, you save money there, right? Because your husband did most of the work. So I'm assuming all you had to do was pay for materials and maybe an electrician or something to do like lighting.
Well, actually, my husband did that too. He is really great. Yeah. So it's important to have a man with white collar money and blue collar skills. I believe that. So yeah, he's really handy. He does great work. He studied YouTube a whole lot. He talked to people. He has a lot of customers who are in various fields, so he talked to them about things. So yeah, my dad, he has been a cabinet maker he's done all things wood for over 30 years. So my racks and my cabinets in the truck, my dad custom made those. And my husband did everything else with the flooring, the electricity, the ceiling, the paint, and everything else. So it was, I had good help.
So now, so at what point did you decide to, and I'm assuming that you decided to do this full time, like are you no longer an educator?
Oh, I love my career, so I'm still in education.
You're still in education? Okay.
Yes,
okay.
I am. So the truck is just part-time on weekends in the summer and some weekday evenings.
Okay. Okay. So it's like best of both worlds. Like you get to continue to teach and, your love for like all things fashion, you get to scratch that itch too.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'm a middle school counselor, so I get to do that. And it's a really good supplement. And I like not having the pressure of having to make a lot of money when I go to events. Of course, it's always nice and that's always the goal. But for me, I just like having steady income. So that's why I'm choosing to not do the truck full time. And besides, I have student loans to pay off. And so, the government will fully pay off my student loans in 8 years. So I will be in education for at least 8 more years.
I heard that.
Now, you mentioned you initially started off selling scarves. So is that what you sell in the mobile boutique, or did you decide to sell other things as well?
I sell mainly clothing in the boutique. I was debating between accessories or scarves, but I decided just to go ahead and move into clothing because I enjoy it a whole lot more. And another weird thing is that I've always had, well, not always, like a couple years before even starting my scarf business, I felt a love for fabric. And I'm like, why am I just loving fabric? And I had no idea where that love was taking me. But in the end, it turned into the accessories business and then later on into the clothing truck.
I was going to ask you about the design of the truck. Did you hire a graphic designer, or is it something you came up with on your own? How did you come up with the design?
I came up with the basis of the design, but a graphic designer works also at the wrap place.
Okay.
So I gave him a lot of rough sketches, and he came up. It was actually they had a contest. There were 2 designers at the wrap place where I worked, and they both were working on it, trying to see which design I would choose. So they turned it into a little contest, and it was fun seeing their work. But in the end, I went with my current design of the yellow truck. And it took everything in me not to do I love the color pink and fuchsia, so it took everything in me to not have a pink or fuchsia truck. So I figured yellow would be eye-catching and you can't miss it, so I just went with yellow.
Yes, it's beautiful.
Thank you.
Now, what's interesting is and I think it worked out perfectly because I was looking on your Facebook page and I see that you go out with Curvaceous Closet, Soul, and Mirror Mirror, and that's like pink, blue, green, and then you're yellow.
Right.
So no one, yeah.
Right. I love those girls, by the way. I'm really blessed to be in the Charlotte fashion truck market because there's some wonderful girls here. But yes, all of us, our trucks are totally different. And we do a lot of events together. So it's good to have that distinguishing characteristic of the different colors.
And can you talk a little bit about that? Because I think that's amazing how you guys support each other. And the event I'm looking at is like the Fashion Trucks of Charlotte inaugural fashion truck rally. So for those folks out there who are thinking about getting started and want to partner with other people in their area, can you explain how you guys got together and some of the things that you guys do on a yearly basis?
Well, we decided to put a group together called Fashion Trucks of Charlotte. And we all met, I met them, I want to say May 2015. That's when I met a bulk of them. Sheila with the accessories truck Mirror Mirror, she came in later, a couple months later. But we, like I said, we do a lot of events together and we decided to exchange information. And at one point right now, we're not the only fashion trucks in Charlotte, but we're probably the oldest operating in Charlotte. But at one point, we all got together, all the truckers in Charlotte, and there were, I think, about 12 of us. We just all went out to dinner and just talked and chatted up a bit and talked about having different events. We actually had Fashion Truck Saturdays going on for a couple of months last summer, and that's where all of us, we met up at a lot where they have the Food Truck Fridays here in Charlotte, one of the lots anyway. And so on Saturdays, instead of Food Truck Friday, we had Fashion Truck Saturdays, and that was our first aim at having an event to gather all the fashion trucks in the area. Unfortunately, that didn't do as well as we had hoped, but it was kind of a kickoff to us doing events together and realizing that there are power in numbers. So, yeah, I mean, we text each other, we talk about events. We, as you see, we put together the inaugural Fashion Truck Festival that's happening this Saturday. And we have about 14 trucks coming in from North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia from that. So it's going to be a cool event, and they're cool girls to work with. And like I said, the biggest thing is just us realizing that we're better together. So I encourage cities and towns who have multiple fashion trucks or at least trucks close by to get together. It's not competition. And I heard someone say it best. If you look at shopping malls, they're successful because of their numbers. The number of stores in the malls. So yeah, just work together. In Charlotte anyway, there are enough events to go around to where we're not always on each other's backs or competing at the same event. But when it is time to get together, it's a really good time and we all profit from it.
Now, have you experienced any problems with parking in your area?
Well, I only have done organized events. So I'm not a street parker per se. I just do festivals and I do apartment complexes and condominiums and things like that. So I haven't run across any problems because I haven't sought out just parking on my own.
Now, how does because I think I saw a picture as I was scrolling on your Facebook page. It looked like it was at an apartment complex. How does that work? Do you just kind of get with like the leasing office or whatever and say, hey, I'm thinking about, coming by on Saturdays, please promote it to your tenants? Like, how do you set that up?
Well, that's another cool thing about following along with the theme, We're Better Together. Carlene and Kimberly of Curvaceous Closet and the Soul Addiction. And I'm not sure if Sheila with Mirror Mirror was there either, but they actually got together with some apartment complexes and a couple of event coordinators who do events at apartment complexes to get the fashion trucks to come out to their residential events. So that's how we got in the loop with the apartment complexes. So this summer, there were probably about 6 or 7 times that apartments invited us out. And I had one as recently as last night. And I believe that was the last one to close out the fashion truck residential event season. But yeah, so I give that credit to Carlene and Kim for getting that partnership together with the different apartments across Charlotte.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, because with that, it's like you don't have to worry about like, oh, am I parking in the wrong place? Like getting ticketed or, it's like you already have all these different relationships built up. So that's a pretty smart way to go about doing things.
Right. And Charlotte is really good, I have to admit, about allowing mobile businesses to do our thing. I credit that to the food trucks who started probably about 4 years ago, who started really bombarding the Charlotte scene. So they've paved the way for us fashion truck girls. So I definitely want to give them credit. And I will say that Charlotte, just overall, is a very mobile business friendly city.
Mm. Now, as far as like items in your truck, I think another thing that people probably struggle with is what to buy and, what to do with things that don't sell. And, how do you manage like your inventory and really try to, plan for the future and think about what you should buy wholesale for your audience so you're not like left at the end of the year with like all this inventory?
Right. And that's a really good question. And I'm still learning what to buy and how much to buy, especially. I think there's really no way to avoid making mistakes in purchasing inventory. I know my very first set of inventory was purchased before the truck was ready. And at that point, I was going for the cheaper or less expensive items. Not realizing that would actually hurt me in the long run rather than help me. And those are the things that, even though I started my truck about a year and a half ago, I still have a couple of those items just sitting in a room because they're not going to sell because they're just not quality enough. So my advice is definitely to hit up shows and markets. I go to the Atlanta market all the time. I haven't gone to Vegas or New York or anywhere like that. I think Atlanta for me is good enough, and I'd be overwhelmed going to a bigger show. So just it's trial and error. When you're starting out, you may not want to purchase so much inventory, though that is so hard to do. I found that purchasing inventory for your business is kind of similar to the high you get in purchasing stuff for yourself. And so it's really easy to overspend and go over budget or not have a budget. But my advice is just to not, when you're first starting out, don't purchase a lot because you really don't know who your audience is going to be. Like, I'm just learning my audience. I'm just learning the styles they like. And so I've gotten a whole lot better with selecting styles and the patterns versus solids and the materials and loose versus fitted. I've learned all of that. So it's all a learning curve, but just give it time. Don't start out buying too much inventory. And with the inventory that I have left over, I always have an end of the season sale rack. So I've realized that April and August are my months to bring out the sale rack because things that aren't selling from that season is going to go 25% off and then to 30% off and then to half off. And people are loving my half off right now. So I will say I definitely overspent last winter and this summer. So hopefully I'm not overspending now, but I think I am. So I have a problem. It's just such a high. I've stopped spending for myself, but now I'm spending for the business and buying all the stuff. But I do have a really big event coming in October, and I kind of know the styles I need to buy for that event. So I'm having a really good time buying for that. So it'll all work out, I'm sure.
No, neat. I think that's like great advice because it's, especially like sometimes reading some of the questions and comments in like the Facebook group. These are the things that people struggle with.
Right.
So no, I think people will find this really helpful. Do you have like any like general advice for people who are just starting out? Just some things for them to like keep in mind, like some lessons learned?
And I have to admit, this is probably a fault instead of a good thing, but it irks me when people ask questions instead of searching for themselves. Now, I'm not saying don't have questions because you're going to have questions, and I love answering questions. But I think make it evident that you're actually putting in work to have your own business and not trying to, comb people's brain for every question you may have. Realize that some things are trial and error, realize that you cannot plan everything. It's just not going to work out that way. But again, don't be afraid to reach out. And again, I think that here in Charlotte, we're really lucky or blessed to have each other, and we're really open. And when I was starting my business, I talked to a couple of girls and they were pretty open. I didn't ask anything too personal or too telling, but they were just really helpful with questions that I may have had. Even just going in to see their truck and to see how it works. Just seek out a veteran if there's one in your area. Just kind of get a feel to if they're open to help you or if they're not. Don't be offended if they're not, because all of our personalities are different and all of our experiences are different. Some people may have been burned by someone who's asking questions. So just keep all that in mind and just be open.
But I think your advice about doing your homework first is really good because, like, I'm assuming, like, if someone came to you and they're like, hey, I've been searching on the internet, I've been looking through the Let's Talk About Fashion Truck Facebook group, you know, I've done this, I've read books, and these are the things that I've found out, but these are the things that I'm really struggling with. Like, you probably will be more willing to help them because this person has already put in the work to really figure out how to start this business versus someone who comes to you and is like, yeah, I'm kind of thinking about doing this, but I haven't done anything, you know?
Right. Exactly. So, I mean, for me, that's huge. Like, if you haven't done anything, don't ask me any questions.
And you don't want anybody to just give you all of the answers, because to me, if you expect me to give you all the answers, that's just telling me that you don't really want to work for this business. Like, how do you know that you really want it if you're not willing to put the legwork in order to find out what you need to know?
Exactly. You have to be in it to win it. And I know one thing from the outside looking in, having a fashion truck looks cool, but it's a whole lot of work from the business standpoint of getting licenses and permissions and fees and things like that, all the way down to when you're at an event and the sweat that is pouring down your chest because you're out trying to get your generator straightened out, get whatever outside setup you have. I mean, it's hard work. There's not an event that I've had that I'm not just pouring sweating. And, you know, so you just have to be ready for everything. And those are questions you can ask, like, what can I expect in having a fashion truck business and things like that. But don't just want to sit and get, if you will, you know, research.
Now, do you work by yourself or have you hired help?
Most events I'm by myself. Now I do Carolina Panthers games. So I set up a couple blocks away from the stadium and I have a whole Panthers get up, if you will, set up outside the truck. And those I have hired family and friends to help me with that because that gets crazy. But otherwise I typically am by myself unless my husband pops in for a couple hours or so.
Okay. But that's like a good list. So you do like just festivals, apartment complexes, sports events, you know, I guess anything where it's like an official event where there are people that are willing to like buy, you're there.
Right. Okay. Exactly. Yeah. And that's another thing. I mentioned I do Carolina Panthers games. Women in the NFL, that is a really untapped market. So I encourage anyone outside of Charlotte to look into doing sporting events in your town, whether it be college game days. I know if we had a big college game day presence here in Charlotte, I'd definitely tap that. But women in sports, the women's fashion in sports is a really untapped market. But there are so many companies and so many fans out there who want to buy the things that you can't find at Dick's or whatever other sporting store. I know I can grant my success to just finding those vendors who sell things that you can't find in other stores. And I love when customers say, oh my God, I've never seen these anywhere. I love them. They're quality. They're so feminine. Where'd you get it from? I love when customers have that to say. So again, if you're in a college town or a big sports town, possibly look into going to a show where they tailor towards sports and start having a sports setup because that's an untapped market.
Well, we just have a couple of wrap-up questions just to help the audience get to know you a little bit better. Do you have a favorite podcast, blog, book, or TV show? And if so, what is it?
Oh, gosh. Of course, I love Can I Park Here?
Yay.
That's a favorite, definitely. It's probably the only podcast I really listen to. As far as books, TV shows, and things like that, I don't watch a lot of TV because in my spare time, it's my business. It's what I'm doing. I'm shopping for clothes, or I'm at an event, or setting up for an event, or things like that. So I really don't have a lot of spare time off of the internet. So if I had to name one, I would say Greenleaf. I got caught up into that this past season, Greenleaf on OWN, and my next show is Queen Sugar on OWN. So that's my next show to catch up on. Yeah.
I'll have to check them out. But that was something key that you said, and people that are listening may agree or not agree. I am a big TV person. Estrella is too. And love movies. But the thing about it, I feel like you really know when you want to do something, when you're willing to give it up. Especially if you have a love for TV and movies. But if you're like, nope, I can't watch Grey's Anatomy tonight because I need to purchase whatever, make whatever, do whatever to get my business off the ground, or just do whatever to keep it running. I feel like that's when you know you have something, because you have like that passion to keep it going.
Exactly. It's my business and it's my hobby. So I think that's the best combination.
Right.
Or you could just have TiVo.
On demand. If it wasn't for on demand,
I love on demand.
So, yeah.
But then you can strategically watch it, right?
Right.
So you can get your hustle on. There's that balance. It's the balance.
Mm-hmm.
If you could have any celebrity, entertainer, model, athlete visit your mobile boutique, who would it be?
Wow. What I had a celebrity mom visit my mobile boutique.
Oh, wow.
The girl off of, and I don't watch the show, Black Ink, Pretty Ink. It's a tattoo show. Anyway, she owns a tattoo parlor here in Charlotte. Pretty Ink, I think it's called. And her mom came on the truck and introduced me as her mom. So I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. But
I know you're like, you need her like to be like, oh, hey, can you get your daughter to talk about me on the show or Instagram?
Can I film at the shop a couple weekends?
Exactly right.
I'm so low key, it's ridiculous. Like, I don't know how I still have a business as low key as I am, but yeah. But if I could have anybody visit, I'll go with, let's say, Oprah. I don't know. This will be one of those questions where I wake up at 4:00 in the morning, like, oh, I should have said blah, blah, blah. But yeah, let's say Oprah.
I mean, Oprah is a good one. I mean, she's like a businesswoman, so you guys could chit chat about that. Just the fact that she's in there, that right there, you just take like a quick picture, and hopefully maybe she takes a picture and just puts it out there in her world. Boom.
Yes. That
so
would be
much exposure. Awesome. But just to pick her brain, though, would be amazing.
Yes, that would be super awesome.
And then what do you like to do in your free time to wind down and de-stress when you're not working?
When am I not working?
Right.
I love eating. I love food trucks. The food truck scene here in Charlotte is ridiculously amazing. So I love food trucks. I like just sitting on the couch with my husband, watching TV or whatever, maybe watching football or something. I like just looking at a pretty sky. Like there's like a mile from me, a really high point on the road where it's like nothing you see but sky. And just the cloud formations are amazing. So I'm really low key. It doesn't take a lot for me. I love to travel. I love beaches. I just like serene things, doing things that are really serene.
Now, this is probably just my ignorance because, I'm from Chicago and now I'm in the DC area. So city to city. But Charlotte, I'm kind of like amazed. You guys have a lot going on there. For some reason, you think of Charlotte, think like maybe small town, but it's really not small, right? Like there's a lot of events and things going on there.
Yeah, Charlotte I love this city. And we have a lot of transplants here, meaning that we hardly have anyone who's originally from Charlotte. And when you do meet someone who's originally from Charlotte, you're like, oh my God, where'd you come from?
Right.
And I'm originally from Columbia, South Carolina. So I'm a transplant too. I've been here for 16 years though. But Charlotte is a small town. It's not a small town, but it is really family friendly. we have a lot of families moving here. We have a lot of folks from up north here, and they just love the pace. They love the friendliness of the people. They like the variety of events. Now, we're not a 24/7 town where things are always open and things like that. But if you're looking for something to do, you're going to find it. So we're just, yeah, I think it's a perfect size city, whether you're single or have a family. It's a really clean city. The housing prices are good. The people are nice. We have a lot of food options, which is really important for me. And yeah, it's just a really cool place to be. Everyone should come visit Charlotte.
I'm going to put that on my list.
Please do.
And then Android or iPhone, and what's your favorite app?
Droid by far. I think Apple is way overrated. They have great marketing. I think that's about it. It's just the marketing. And my favorite app, honestly, again, this is so boring, but it's the calendar app because it keeps me straight.
Hey, you know what? I mean, sometimes it's the simple thing that helps keep you organized. You know, it keeps your life together. It keeps you functioning, keeps your family functioning, your business functioning. I live and die by my calendar app and my reminder app.
Yeah, by far.
What would you attempt to do if you knew you could not fail?
Well, my dream has always been to have an organization called I'm not going to say the name of it because someone might take it. So,
true.
But I've always wanted to be able to take students around the country or around even the world, or even like places locally, just to expose them to possibilities in life. I think it's really important. When I was in high school, we did a college tour, and it really opened my eyes. I didn't attend any of the colleges we went to, but it still opened my eyes to what was out there, and that there is another life outside of then Columbia, South Carolina. So I think I would love to have a program to expose middle and high school kids to, I want to call it, real life.
I think that is so important, because there are people, like, I feel like that I even went to school with, that have never set foot out of Chicago ever. And I'm like, there is this whole big world out there. And I think if you expose children to that world while they're young, then they'll be more willing to travel and to live in different places when they get older. If all they know is one place, then there's this fear that sets in of the unknown, and it sometimes traps people. Exactly. So I think that's a wonderful, wonderful idea.
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? You might be able to do like a Kickstarter or something and get people to support you, like the community to support you, and set up like a nonprofit or something, that'll help you do that. That'd be pretty amazing.
Yeah, so after these 8 years are up and the government pays off my student loans, I'll be all
I know, you'll be like, I'll be gravy. Just convince the school to pay for it, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, and just to wrap up, where can the audience or the listeners find you?
Okay, well, my website is dresslikeagirl.com. And my social media handles are Dress Like a Girl MB, like mobile boutique, Dress Like a Girl MB, on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate you coming on to the show.
Thank you for having me. It was fun. I hate that it's over, but thank you.
All right, and another amazing episode. Now, okay, my nuggets. I feel like I should start off every outro with like, okay, here are my nuggets. Like that should be our
Stop saying nuggets, woman.
I love that word. My nuggets, people.
I hate it. That is going to cause us to end. That is a friendship ender. Okay.
Hashtag nuggets.
No. I think that hashtag would be confusing.
I don't even know what would come up as I'm talking. I might just put it in just to see what comes up. Yeah, people, you may not
be about what you talking about.
I know. Oh geez. Okay.
The nuggets.
So I did hashtag nuggets, and pictures of either a NFL team, the Denver Nuggets, come up, or pictures of dogs, which is very rando. So yeah, don't do hashtag nuggets, people. Or wait, chicken nuggets come up too.
Duh.
Yeah, I don't eat that bad food, so I wouldn't know about that.
You don't eat Taco Bell.
So yeah, so no hashtag nuggets, people, unless you're a nugget fan. Okay, so the nuggets that I want to talk about today, women in sports. How she said that is an untapped market. I've heard that before, and I completely agree. So that is something you should think about, especially if you're in a city that has a love for some type of team, NFL, hockey, whatever, and it could be college or pro. I'm not a sports person, so I'm not even going to try to say the lingo, but I think that was amazing.
Absolutely. And come on, the price of her truck, $1,000. That, I think, is that the cheapest or the lowest price that our guests have had so far?
I think so.
But that's not bad. And it didn't even take her long to find the truck once she started looking. It's like everything started to fall into place for her. So sometimes waiting can be, towards your benefit, waiting for the right time.
But you know what? I think a lesson to learn from that is to tell people what your dreams are and to ask questions. Because if she would have never asked her husband, hey, you know somebody with a truck? He would have, he would have never been like, well, actually, yeah, I do, my whatever. Sometimes you have to put what you want out there in the world and things just tend to come to you.
Hey, Nashay. Do you know where I can find $1 million?
Okay. Folks, just know if for some reason she becomes a millionaire by the end of the year, she owes me a 20% cut.
Whatever. Just that was not discussed.
But seriously, because the more people know what you want to do and what you're looking for, the more people are like, oh, I know this person, or have you tried this, or whatever. And then things just tend to happen. Things just tend to come together. So just think about that. Don't hide what you're trying to do. Put it out there for the world to know. Now, what's interesting about how she operates too, that I just wanted to highlight, was that she doesn't, do anything but events. I thought that was pretty amazing. It has to be a sports event or something going on at the complex or the fashion trucks getting together. But they're all kind of planned events. And it sounds like, we didn't get into it too much, but Charlotte is pretty mobile friendly, especially for them to have an increasingly number or a large number of fashion trucks to be in that area.
And she also only works part-time on the truck. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of interesting too. But, she says she didn't want to leave her stable full-time job, which is understandable.
Right. Because I would figure, especially if you have student loans, because I've been there before. I'm when I finally paid them off, I did this huge dance and made my husband take me
a lot of people
dinner.
Are probably me mugging you right now, pay off. Who does that?
Okay, let me tell you guys this, and I think I mentioned this in the episode with the finance bar.
Okay, nobody cares. Nobody cares. Okay,
poor.
No.
Okay, I lived I didn't have anything.
Moving
on.
It
was just a series of things, and people. Sometimes you need to buy, especially anybody who's 20 something too, do a smart buy, a little townhome or something, sell at the right time. That money you make from that will help you pay off them loans. Okay. Don't hate, Estrell. I feel some jealousy coming from you.
It's 100% jealousy. Yes. Absolutely.
Oh my goodness. Hater. Anyway, folks. But yeah, so she does it part-time, but she has a love for it. And clearly I'm assuming that she's making a decent amount of money off of it to keep her going, you know? So that's pretty cool. So I hope you guys got a lot out of this episode. I thought it was great. And she's another person that has given us some really good practical tips.
So we hope you enjoyed this episode. When you get a chance, please go to iTunes, give us a great rating and a stellar review.
And as always, if you go to all of the social media accounts and type in Find a Fashion Truck, we will come right up. If you're looking for that private Facebook group that we mentioned in the episode, it's called Let's Talk About Fashion Trucks, and we will approve you.
All right. So have a great evening or morning or whatever.
Afternoon, night.
Thanks
Until
for
next time.
here.